the session. I know it is. Everybody say okay to that. So I don't know if Carol needs to say anything before we get started. Did you want to say anything, Carol? Okay.
No.
All right. So Carol's my co-host, and she'll be monitoring the chat because if I start sharing a screen, I won't be able to see the chat. So feel free to ask questions or raise your hand, and she can kind of keep me posted on that. She's real good about, since we work together on a lot of this stuff, she knows what we need to make sure is covered with everybody. So we're glad to have you today. We're going to talk about two things. One thing we're going to talk about is navigating the Orbit website. And then we'll also talk about the membership application form with some changes that were made. Some other folks coming in. Good morning, Sandra. Your name has gone wacky again on there. So this is the nuts and bolts, and it's mainly like looking at the orbit line. So if you have questions that I'm not covering, feel free to ask me when we get to that. And I did not say I'm Colleen Lanier from Region 2, and I'm legislative chair. Okay, good. So I'm going to start, and I'll web in for myself, and I'll just start the web and I'll just log in for myself, but I'll give you all the information on what you do. First thing I do is I just Google Orbit login. Now it's ORBIT, not like the travel agency Orbitz. A lot of people, or whatever that is with Orbitz, a lot of people try to do that, and they talk to me, they say, I can't get on Orbitz, but it is Orbit, like orbiting our retirement system. So once I Google that, I click on it, and then it'll pull up to the screen where we're going to log in. Before we do that, I'll show you at the top, before you even log in, you can click on forms and you can pull up a form that you need without logging in if there's a specific form that you need. They are listed first with the numbers. Like Form 6 doesn't matter to us because that's about retirement unless you want to unretire. But then underneath the numbers, it starts alphabetical order. For most of our members as retirees, the main thing I will see that you will need is the affidavit of identity. And that will be right under the numbers. And that's the one, if you get locked out of Orbit, that's the one that you will have to use to complete. So you can print that out. So also on the right, you'll see where it says contact. You click on that and it will show you the phone number for the retirement system. It'll also show you the fax number. No, will not show you the fax number, just show you the phone number for that. And it'll tell, like, click on that to get with a counselor. So Orbit is somebody said, what is Orbit? I remember last year somebody asked that question. This is the way we navigate our state retirement plan. And you can get information that you need. You can contact folks through Orbit and using this process. And it's keeping your personal information confidential so that you have access to it. So your employer, if you're working for a state employer somewhere, has that access. And so that the state can also get access to that. So I've been on before. You can look at the top here. When I first clicked on before I started it, they will have different messages on here. So from time to time, if you just want to check Orbit and see what it says, sometimes it's a good place to look. If something happens and you say, hey, I didn't get my check on time, go to Orbit and you don't have to lock in, see what it says right here on this message for you, because it might say, right now we're behind and it'll be coming to you soon. So look for that information. And there's that affidavit of identity. It shows you where you click on that if you need to print that out, if you are locked out. So I know that I can get on Orbit because I know mine. But I'll tell you, if you have not done this for a while, you can try what you think your username and password are, but don't try it more than 3 times. If you're not sure, it is pretty easy to get. First of all, you would click on forgot your username. And when you click on that, you'll put in your social security number. And this is a secure site to do that on. And then they will send your username to your email address. If you don't have that email address anymore, you're going to have to contact them and do an affidavit of identity, because that's the way they'll verify that it is you. And you can't do that any other way. So, and with that affidavit of identity, you will have to get this notarized. And of course, you want to sign it the same date you get it notarized, and you'll check on the item that says update my email address. But you can update it if you still have that old email address. For example, I have two emails. I have my Gmail and my Bell South. So I use the Bell South with this, but I could go online with my Bell South and change it to my Gmail if I wanted to. That clear with everybody? You can change it yourself if you have that same access to that old email. So I'm going to put mine, and then I'm going to put the problem right now is they no longer have that little I on the right. I call it an I that shows you what you typed. So you just hope you typed it right. And then you get to try again if you don't think you typed it right, because it won't let you. So it's spinning right now. And you'll see when you look on this, I have people who just retired and they go, I tried to get on Orbit and all my information is gone. No, it is not gone. So first of all, this is because I'm not an active employee anymore. You will see at the top of the screen, there's a notice up here to us retirees that says they released their updated version of our certificate for withholding, and you can have access to that. But I have two accounts because I've been active and retired. So if I wanted to go on my active account, I could go back to my old information if I needed to get any of that. But for us retirees, most everything we need is going to be on our retired one. So I'm going to go back to that. So let me go through this. First of all, maintain your personal information. If I click on that one, I've got my birthday, I've got my phone number, and you might want to go on because many of us no longer have their landlines. We know that from trying to call you, folks. You need to change it with us too. But you can go online right here and change it and edit this and put your cell phone as your home phone. I still have a phone landline, but we hardly ever use it. My husband says don't answer it. It's a sales call. So I put my cell phone as my home phone number. And also I have my phone number connected here as my mobile, because that way I can get a text if they want to verify who I am through Orbit. And then of course, here's where my email address is, and I can edit this and change to my other email since I still have both those addresses. I'm not going to click on my security questions because y'all don't need to see the answers to those. But if you've forgotten your security questions, you can click on that and it'll pull up your 3 questions and your answers, and you can change those. I want to share too with you that now people who are going on who have trouble with it, the way they get blocked out is going out too many times, and then you have to do that affidavit of identity. They may ask you what they call third-party verification questions. Those have been extremely difficult, but after the most recent meeting of the Treasurer's Office, Treasurer's Board of Directors about 2 weeks ago, the trustees, they have updated them a little bit so they're not quite as hard. And I knew from working with people with retirement, those questions were almost impossible to answer. And there's an 80% failure rate in answering the questions. So you can try that before you have to do a proof of identity, but you probably are not going to make it. I've only had 3 people with the folks I've worked with who've able to answer those questions correctly. Because they use information like somebody, they used her ex-husband. She said, I don't remember when he bought his Ford Fairlane, So it's questions like that you may not know the answers to. Anyway, that's on getting on that. That's the information. Also, suppose, here's my mailing address, but suppose I were going to be at the beach for the whole summer. And I say, wait, I want those checks to be mailed there, my information to be mailed there. I could go over here, I could click on this, and I could change my address for the summer if I wanted to. If you spend your summers in Florida or Nova Scotia or somewhere, you can change it, have those payment information sent there if you have things mailed to you. Okay, questions about your personal information? Okay, here's something people will call me and they'll say, Colleen, how do I change my information? I want to change it. You can do that right on here. My husband did that about a year or so ago. You can see that I have my account, my check, pension check goes directly into my Wells Fargo account. My husband did his the same way, but he went on here and changed it to go to a state employees credit union account. So you don't have to call anybody to do it. You just go on, maintain direct deposit, and change it right there. It's very easy to do. Okay, tax withholdings. Click on that. It's taking a minute to get there. All right, so this will show me how I file my taxes. And I had not looked at mine for a long time, and I saw recently that was still putting that on here that I filed separately. But my husband and I do file jointly. So I looked last night, I have updated to make sure it is the correct information. But suppose you had put 2 allowances or 1 allowance and you want to change it to 0, you can do it right here without contacting anybody else. So it's very easy for you to do. Most of us choose 0 allowances because we don't want to have to pay as much at the end of the year. Okay. Now, 1099s, they mail us a paper copy. They would like for us to go paperless, but they do still mail us one. And you can look on here and you can go to past years and pull up your document to find out what it was. If you're using it for any kind of purpose, getting a loan or anything like that. Okay, beneficiaries. I don't have a beneficiary anymore because I chose the maximum option, which probably a lot of you did. If I had chosen one of the other options when I retired and my husband had passed away, I could go on here and change it to put him as a beneficiary. But now there's no money left in the retirement system that I am paying. Mine is gone and yours is gone if you chose maximum after about 6 years. Now the state and the legislature, the pension plan, all of that is paying what my payments are. But you can change it right there. Now, this question came up to me not too long ago. Somebody said, I need a loan. I need to find out what my income is. How do I do that? Do I have to call? Nope, you don't have to call. You can go right here and you're going to put in your email address and this information, and they will send you the information that you need to verify what your income is. So if you're getting a loan, you just check that letter in. So it's very easy to do without contacting them. I will tell you, if you want to call them and ask some questions, they'll be glad to answer them. They're very helpful, but you might have a wait. And this just saves them answering a lot of questions when we could get access to it. If I wanted to go back to work, I could view this and I could see what my earnable allowance if I were willing to go back and work this year as a state employee, but I'm not planning to do that. Let's see. And then reach a counselor. Okay, if you want to go right here to reach a counselor, you can just put on here an option that you're going to choose, your email address and the phone number, and you can put details about what you need to ask them. Then they'll be sure they get to the right person and you submit it. But do not call and submit this form because they're having to do double work and they don't like to do that. And don't email them and do this form. Do one or the other, but not both. Any questions about operating this in orbit? Anybody had problems or you need to check on that, clearing up how you've got a problem? If you've forgotten who the first person was you kissed, you can change that question if you go on here to maintaining personal information. Because I spent a lot of time with people trying to remember who the first person was they kissed. Try to get something that's factual, like the address where you first live or something like that. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to go to y'all are quiet. No questions so far?
I thought Julia was the only one who knew who was the first person she kissed.
You might be right about that. You might be right. Yes. Oh, I did not, you know what? I did not talk about the death benefit, did I? Okay, let me just go. Let's see, but let me talk about that. Okay, so if you have a person who is first of all, if you have a person who is a member of the retirement system and you've got to report their death, so you need to do that to stop the payments. Here's what you do. I have this information and you can get it from Carol or me. I'm not sure, Carol, if it's online or not with our website, but if it's not, we can get Julia to put it on there. But basically, as soon as you find out they've passed away and you have their death certificate, you can contact the retirement system. What you want to do is you can do a paper thing, or you can call them. To get a paper thing, you'll go to the to the NC Treasurer's office and get that. And here's the phone number to call if you want to call the retirement system. And then all I do when I'm helping people try to get this form is I just say Google teasers and reporting the death of a teasers member, and it'll pull up that form for you and have you print it if you need to. So what you're going to need, whether you call or do the form, you're going to need that person's name, their whole social security number, and the date of death. They did not ask for when you first contact them, they don't ask for a death certificate. But if there's any kind of benefits that you need to get, like I had a person, Shane, and his wife just died this past March, and he was eligible for hers. So he had to have her death certificate before he could do anything else. So questions about that?
Colleen,
Yes.
I know I know from experience that sometimes, and you need to make sure they're going to do it, but
Yeah.
my funeral director did all that.
Thank you.
They,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah. So that might be a question to ask the funeral director if you're dealing directly with the situation for that person. Yeah. That's a good point. That was helpful that they did.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So now let's go to the membership form. Hopefully y'all are real familiar with this. Okay. So Carol and I were just talking about this a while ago. We see that on this form, it still has our 800 telephone number for NCRSP, which you can use that. But we were just brainstorming that maybe when we update the form this year, and I know leadership is working on that right now, that maybe we could go ahead and change that and add the 919, because NCAE saves money if we use the 919 number. And I'm so used to using that now that I don't even give people the 800 number. So these are changes from last year, and the form is easier now. You might recall, if you have the old form, that where you write in the information, it was gray. There were two problems with that. One problem was our new incoming members would try to write in the part beside the name, first, middle, and last, which didn't work, especially where their address came, because they were trying to write in white spaces. And the other thing is, because I used an old form that we got from the NCAE convention this year, they were passing out the old form with the gray in the opposite place. And when I tried to send that form in, it didn't show up what the person had written. So I had to rewrite their form on one of the newer applications. So this is sometimes confusing to people, but if they're new to NCRSP, not NCAE, that's what this means when it says new. Because when someone retires from NCAE, they have to cancel NCAE membership and they have to join NCRSP. We prefer a paper form for you to do that so that NCRSP, Carol and Tara can track this information if needed. They'll have access to it. And then they pass it on to the folks. Right now, it's Virginia and Milo who do this in membership with NCAE. So if they're a new member, they put the new member on there. If somebody's updating some information and wants to do a new form, then they put renewing member over on the right side. They can put any county they want. Like I have a person, Diane, and I don't know if Diane's on the call, but she's in our Forsyth local, but she lives in Banner Elk. So instead of Avery County, she puts Forsyth. And that way, she's getting our local information. I just did a person yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, it was yesterday morning. And she's in, I won't say the county that she worked in because she chose instead to go to Guilford County to be in the NCRSP. So we put Guilford on here for her. So you can choose the one you want and just go from there. And they put their address and they put their date of birth, the last four of their social, and the date they retired. If they are renewing their membership, they probably don't need to do that because it's already in. And I have some people who retired a long time ago and said, I don't really remember. And I say, if it hasn't been recent, just say a long time ago or something like that, because this helps Carol know. And this helps her in a couple of ways. Right now, we're putting in people, listen to this carefully, y'all, people who are retiring this June or July or August. And so they can go ahead and do this form if they're NCAE members, because this right here, where it says retirement date, shows Carol that they don't need to start their membership in NCRSP until September 1st. They would be NCAE members because they paid their dues for this membership year. And membership year starts over in September. So then she would know this to put them in, and then she works with Virginia or with Milo, whomever is the right one to do this for, to start them at the correct time. So don't worry about that. Go ahead and get those forms in early to her. What I do when I send in a new member form, I also send the phone number, email address, and mailing address to my local president, because she sends out a newsletter that will go out before September 1st. And some of you might be in the same situation in your local. So this will help them because they will get the newsletter. Otherwise, they'd have to wait till that September membership roster comes out, which will be like September 7th or something like that. Okay, then they here's another change. Y'all notice the change? Yes. All right, it did say home number. The problem was people were putting home number and then it said cell number here. But when we get the NEA membership rosters, that would only show the home number to us, which wasn't helpful because many people are like my husband and me. We don't regularly answer our phone, but we do answer our cell phone as soon as it rings. So now we've changed it to primary number, and then they can put any other number here. They can put their home number or an additional cell phone number or a work number if they've got it here. And they put their email address, their personal email address in this place here. They put their ethnic identity. And then down below, most of our members, and I don't just hand them the form, I do this with them or I do it for them. Most of them want to do this bottom one here out of the four options, but I'm going to talk about all the options. This one says, I want to purchase NCRSP membership only, but that includes NEA and NCAE membership as well as NCRSP, which is sometimes confusing to members, but they're paying for all three, and it's $144 a year. You could encourage them, especially if they're young in their early 50s, to choose the top one, because if they chose that, they could pay a one-time $300 membership, which they could pay right now or before they retire, and then their yearly dues would only be $109 a year instead of $144. Once they're over 65, most of them are going to choose this one, the fourth one, because they don't know if they'll live long enough to make it profitable for them to, have that other option.
Holly,
We
can't see the form, so you're talking about it, but we don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, you cannot see it?
Nope.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Well, let's go. What are you seeing any form from me?
No.
We just see in your picture.
We just see the picture.
You're seeing the picture. Oh my gosh. Well, let's see.
And I've asked everybody to kind of close their picture unless they're going to ask something, because we had people eating and sleeping yesterday.
Oh, yes, we did. We did. All right. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay. Well, thank you,
Make it a little
Linda.
bigger. Make it a little bigger.
Yeah. Oh, it
Can
took
you?
it.
If you can't, that's okay.
If I can, let me see if I can do it without messing it up. I don't think it'll let me.
The The bottom right-hand corner.
Okay, that's a little bigger, right? That's bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Linda, for doing that. Everybody else is being so polite. So I'm sorry. Okay, so now just
If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, there, I can see it like, it's not quite there, right to the left of that, there's a plus sign. I think if you click on that plus sign, yeah, there you go, it gets it larger.
can't see any on mine. There are no, it's not all it's showing me is my screen. Sorry.
Okay, all right, we can see it. There you go, there, that's good.
See, if I do my
Good.
fingers, I can do it. Yeah, that's it. Okay. All right. So anything well, you can see now what I was talking about where now people can write in the white place instead of the gray. So that was a big change that we made. All right. So then I just talked to you about the 4 options here. And to me, it has been easy recently for me to miss this. I mean, it's very clear that it's right here. But when I've been working with people, I've forgotten to make sure they put their cell phone and their email address. But that's important for us. But so be sure if you're looking over a form before somebody sends it in, that you make sure they've filled out that part. And it's just me because I'm just missing it because we're trying to do it in a hurry, I guess. And then to the right of where they own the dues amount, that's just for their information. They don't have to do anything there. To the right of that, where it shows the membership type, that's where they can check to receive the panorama by U.S. mail. They're going to get the one in the fall by mail anyway because we usually send that out to all of us. I don't encourage people to check that because I know it's costing NCRSP money. But if they want to do that, they can check right there to get that. Okay, now let's talk about their pay options. There are 3, but I'll tell you the preferred methods. The 2 preferred methods right now are to do bank draft or credit card. And the reason is we are not pushing payroll deduction right now. NCAE has asked us not to push it because Senator Ralph Heiss has a bill in to take away payroll deduction for associations, and that would include us. We don't know where it will go. That's why we're not saying right now, everybody switch over. But NCAE has just cautioned us as we recruit people or we update people to try to get them to do bank draft or credit card. So when I tell people, I usually say you can join by bank draft or credit card, and it's $14.40 a month for 10 months. And I say you're a member all year, but you're only paying the 10 months. So for bank draft, they put e-dues. If they were just an NCAE member already, by just recently, then right here where it says name on the card, if you're sending it in, it's going to be hard to attach a card. And if you're doing it by phone, you can't attach a check, so a blank check or voided check. So I just tell them put account information on file. They can do that for credit card or for bank draft. And then Virginia, who does the credit card and the bank draft, will know to get that information from them. If they're new, they're going to have to put their information in, including that 3-digit number. So bank draft, even though they can attach a voided card or they can write their information right in here for bank draft and it works out okay. For bank draft, they get to choose whether they do 1 time a year, the $144, or 10 months, which will be $14.40. So it's up to them. Credit card, they can choose the same thing, 1 time a year or 10 months. But the credit card can only be taken out the 2nd of the month, whereas the bank draft can be taken out the 2nd or the 25th. 25th works out well because we get our checks deposited on the 25th of the month. But they have that option. And here, if right now it's still on the form, and Lynn and I were talking about this yesterday, that'll be up to leadership whether they remove this or not. But right now there is still the option of payroll deduction. So if they want payroll deduction, they'll put their full Social Security number and it will come out 12 months out of the year, beginning in September. Also, if somebody's joining, like the person I talked to yesterday, who's joining in the Guilford local, she was not a member of NCAE. I think she said she'd never been a member of NCAE, but she's joining now because she wanted me to help her with stuff to do with retirement, And I told her she needed to be a member anyway to help protect our retirement and our insurance. So she joined yesterday. So for her, we did her with her credit card information, and her payments would start in June. So when I sent that information to Carol, I put on that her checks would start in June because she's not a member who's continuing. She's just starting fresh as a new member. Now, remember I said you could take this information on phone if somebody trusts you and you don't see them and they don't want you to send them the membership form. Get all their information down, verify that you've got it correctly, and then down at the bottom, I usually put information taken by phone from calling Lanier. So that way, if Carol has a question or Virginia has a question, they can contact me. Virginia Spencer is the one who does our credit card and bank draft. Milo Norland does the payroll deduction. And if they do the check, Carol, y'all know better than me on that, but I think the check, Virginia does that also,
That's
probably.
right. Virginia
Okay.
does.
Yeah, I was thinking she would do that. So, okay. So, questions about the form? Now, Carol last year did a wonderful sheet that is available on the NCRSP website. And it's called Completing the NCRSP Membership Application. And it's a detailed step-by-step that tells them all this information. So you can go to our website, look for forms, and you'll see that tips for completing the membership form, and you can print that out to give you this step-by-step guideline. I usually tell people, take this form, print yourself a copy, and just practice. Just make up stuff like my cat Theo's in the room sleeping beside me. So I'll pretend that he's joining NCRSP, although he's too young to be a member. And I put all his information in and put how he'd pay. Then I'm going to tear it up later, but that gives me practice in seeing what I'm going to put in the right place. So when you work with a person, you know what they need to put.
Pauline,
Yes, ma'am.
where is it that you put your name if you are the one who recruited the member?
That is a good question. Okay, so thank you. Right down at the bottom, let me go see if I right down the bottom, it shows referred by. And
Oh,
you put
okay.
your
Gotcha.
name
I
there,
see it
right?
now.
And then the local where you are a member. Sometimes I don't put my name because I do a lot of people helping with retirement, and I don't think I should be getting NCRSP's money every time I do that. But if I directly contact somebody and work with them, I'll put my name from time to time. Or if Carol says, twist my arm, says, put your name, Colleen, I will. But you can put your name down there, or they can put it for you if they're doing the application form, and then they sign their name and date it. And then Carol is the one who gets the application. You can scan it and email it to her. I think, can they fax it to you? I know she prefers the email.
They can fax it as well.
Okay, so you can fax it to her and get it to her, or you can mail it to her. If you mail it, make a copy, because sometimes things happen and we don't know why with the U.S. mail. But make sure you copy that so that somebody's still got a copy of it, or if that person sends it in, do that. And it's got her information. Carol's email address is different from the way her name is spelled because she has an E on her name, but NCRSP we don't have her E on her name. So she can share that information with you. She can put it in the chat probably. That would probably help. If you need to update your information, you can contact me. That's on like your membership. You can contact me. You can contact Virginia directly if you need to, or you can send an email, either one of those that you want to do. Have y'all got questions or comments? And we'll talk a little bit more about the one with, all right, okay. Oh, yes. Okay. I see Dee's question now about the site being secure. Yeah. Okay. Yes. It is very secure that we do. So right now is a good time to get these people who have been members of NCAE and are retiring. If you have a chance, go to a retiree event. In our local, we're going to do that. I'm working with some people right now who are retiring. Now, to cancel their NCAE membership, there is a membership link that they have to complete to cancel it. We can't do like we did in the old days where I could just email Virginia or Milo and say, Colleen Lanier is retiring. Here's her membership number. Please cancel her, because now it has to be the link where the person fills it out. I can do it with them and for them, but they have to be with me to give me all their information. And then they complete our application form. So have that link. If you don't have that link, I can email it to you and let me know about that, or you probably get it from Milo. I don't know if that's available on Sighting, where I sent it to Linda the other day. So now Linda's got it also. So you could have that if you need it for their NCAE cancellation.
Colleen, what we do
Yes.
is we have an email that Tara and I send that she created, and it says, congratulations on your retirement. And in the same email, it explains that once you click on this link and you tell NCAE to cancel you immediately so your dues will stop, then you
Yeah.
have the option to apply to roll over to NCRSP. So we attached some information about NCRSP, the benefits of joining, and an application as well. So they have that handy, and if they want to, they could go ahead and fill it out and send it in the same process while they're thinking about it.
Yeah, that is great.
Carol, did you send me that copy? Because I was just gonna send the link. And then then last night, I realized I was gonna have to go and find it again in my email from Colleen.
I'll send you that. I'll send you Tara's email that she and I always send out once
Yeah.
somebody calls, because we get a lot of calls. People call in and they think, oh, I need to talk to the retired division, but they're actually canceling their active membership. So we
Right.
go ahead and send them that email saying,
Mm.
congratulations on your retirement. Please click on this link. But also, please be thinking that you would like to roll over to the retired division. So we send them the application, but I will send that to you, Linda.
Yeah,
Right.
that's great. You know, you have that ready to go. Then I'll save
Yeah.
it on my desktop or someplace I can find it.
Well, it should be in your downloads if you downloaded the one from me. When you go back and find, I'll send it to you again and download it. So then it'll be in your downloads too.
Download. I know you're the download people. Okay,
Yeah, I use that download all the time.
I try to save the file in a folder.
Oh, yeah. Right. So Virginia and Milo are very good about this. When they do that cancellation, it goes to somebody else in membership, and they send it either to Milo or Virginia, depending on if they're active, payroll deduction, or bank draft or credit card. But in that cancellation, it says, it gives you 4 choices, and one of them is I want to join NCRSP. And I usually tell people in the comments there, they say, is there anything else you want to tell NCAE? Say, put in there, I'm planning to join NCRSP. And Virginia will just say, okay, we're going to get a form for them. So we're going to go ahead and move them over. But we meaning Carol, Tara, Linda, and me, everybody else, we still want them to do that form. So we've got access to that information too. But that helps. So there's a smooth transition. Then I make sure, I had to be careful for a while there, because, and I make sure people understand this when they put in their note about when they're retiring, because when they were putting that they were canceling their membership, the person would automatically cancel them. And, like here, you'd be a month without paying any dues, and you'd be a month without being covered. So we had to start saying, cancel me effective 9/1/2025, because I'm retiring on 6/1/2025. So, and y'all can email me or call me if you want questions, and you can send people to me. If you say, I don't want to deal with this form, send them to me.
One of the things that we have run into is retirees still trying to use the school system email address that they have worked for. And I always try to convince everyone to change to a Gmail or a Hotmail or a Yahoo or something like that.
Yes. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And then they still, once they don't have that, they're going to have to go update it with Orbit too. So it's better to do it ahead of time. When I work with people with retirement, you know that, Sandra, I always make sure I tell people to go ahead and change it now to their personal email address. You have to have that. But hook up with your folks who are, is hook up appropriate to say now? My kids would laugh at me and say, that's not the thing to say now, Ms. Lanier. But anyway, get up with the retirement people in your HR, in your local school systems. If they're having an event, show up have some forms, have a table. Be sure to at least get your president, if they'll let you be, if they have an agenda, get up to say, hello, I'm Renee Giles and I'm for RSP. And here's why we hope you'll join and we hope you have a good retirement. Something like that. But it's helpful if you can do that, to actually be there and have people see you and get the forms from you right there.
But you also need to try to get names of people that are there. And the best way to do that, if they'll allow you, is to give a couple gift cards away. Even if it's like $25, or maybe you buy a plant, they win the plant, and you get everybody to fill out the form with their name, their address, their email, their phone number. And so then they can be in the drawing. They don't give you that, they're not in the drawing. Yesterday, I thought maybe somebody might show up at our Region 5 meeting, and I heard about people, I think it was Ira, bringing like a bottle of alcohol. So, and not the rubbing alcohol, but I got some, what is that called? Biltmore House wine. So I took a bottle with me, but we had no new members. And so I brought my bottle home with me. So I'm going to take it to the next meeting and see where we're going to find a new member. If it's one, they'll get the bottle. If it's not, we'll have to draw numbers or something to see who wins the bottle. But do something to try to get people to give you the information. Because if you don't, and don't make it like $250 ones, they'll just do it for $25 probably.
That's great. That's good. Okay, so I've put my information in the chat and Carol has put hers in the chat. So you can get to her two ways. You can do cmcclam@ncrsp.org or info@ncrsp.org. And either one of those would work for her to get the information that is needed. But the important thing is to recruit people. You know, we are canceling folks every day because they're deceased, and that is so sad. But we need to replenish our coffers and replenish our membership. So you need to do that. Go out and recruit people. It doesn't have to be a recent retiree. You can talk to anybody. If they call you and ask you questions, say, why are you not? And that's the way I do it now. When I talk to these people, they call me and ask questions, say, and why are you not a member of our retired division? Well, I didn't know I could be, you know, or they'll say, I didn't think it mattered to me. Well, yes, it does matter to you. So do what you can to encourage them.
Colleen, one thing I wanted to add about the application, it's real important to put the last four numbers of their social, because we use the NEA database. So if they call in and I'm trying to look up their record and answer questions about their dues or change some information for them, if I don't have the social security number, there's so many like Colleen Lanier's across the country, it's hard to find them. So it's real important to put that social security number in there.
Yes, and they're right up there at the top. It is. Yes. And sometimes I run into this when people want to do payroll deduction. I'll say, I need your full social. And they'll say, I'm not comfortable giving it to you. I say, then you have to tell me another way you're going to pay your dues. You know, and sometimes that'll get them to do their, I've only had that one or two times. I had somebody, the guy's daughter was going to be his beneficiary and she would not give us her full social. And he said, then you're not getting my money. So he didn't make her his beneficiary. But you only need to put your last four if you are doing bank draft or credit card. But everybody puts it there, and then payroll deduction, they put the whole one. And I think, Linda, isn't this right? And Carol, and Tara, but she can't talk. So can't they still get a little bit of money for recruiting somebody if they put their names down?
The referral at the bottom, yes, they do. They get an incentive for every new member they sign up. They do. And I think it was Pat Reagan yesterday that talked about the secure way to give their social security number is call the office, and we put it on the paperwork once it gets there. That way it's not in an email or it's not in the US mail, but it's directly into the office, and we take the paperwork over to membership, and then it's shredded once they get the information over to the state. But that would be a more secure way. If they don't want to give you your social security number on a form or over the, any other way other than just over the phone, they can call and membership can do that.
Okay, that's good. But we do need that 4-digit right there. We need that. And if they also, if they were an NCAE member, Carol likes to have their membership number on the top of the form, which is what I usually do when I'm putting people over. They should have that. If they don't have it, the local president should have that of their active. So that's something it helps them. It helps Carol to make sure so she doesn't have to search for all those Colleen Laniers.
But I still do though, if there is not a membership number at the top,
Yeah.
because they can't remember it, or they can't remember if they've been a member in the past, then I definitely need that social security number, the last four, so I can search the national database. Because if they've ever been a member in the past, 20 years ago, it'll show up, but it does take that social security to bring it up.
And that middle initial is important for us because we're running to that right now. One of our members, we don't know if he's deceased or not because there are like 20 people in North Carolina who are deceased with the same first and last name, and we're trying to figure out about that. Okay, so we have a note. This is from Tara, who's got voice problems because she's sick. All new members, NCRSP referral candidate. Members who want to join via payroll can always call and give Carol or Tara their social security number, or call membership department directly with their number. Yes, you can. Yeah, if they feel comfortable, they can leave it on a voicemail for Virginia, or no, actually that'll be for it'll be for Virginia or Carol or Tara. Yeah, that's good.
Pauline, does the membership number you have as NCAE member transfer to the NCRSP?
That's a real
So
good
that the
question. It sure
number-
does. It says the very same. Yes.
Good.
Yes. That's very helpful. Yeah. And we are trying, Sandra knows this, we're trying to do seamless membership so they don't have to do cancel and, roll over, because a lot of states do. A lot of states, they just can roll right over, but we haven't gotten anywhere with that right now. We're going to keep doing what we can to push it. But anyway, this helps us. If we get them in with the new form, we've got all their information, updated information.
Colleen, something sad to mention is that teachers, active teachers, as they're retiring, might not realize they have to call and cancel their membership because it is continuously. I have seen teachers who have retired 5 years ago and been paying that $60 a month for all that time, didn't realize they had to call and stop it. I can't imagine that, but I have seen instances where they paid dues for a long number of months and they did not realize they had to call and cancel, or they told their local president or their local active president or something, I'm retiring, cancel my membership. But that's not the way to do it. You have to individually call in and click on that link and cancel it.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And I see the same thing with people, because I've got people, if I can't get up with them, there's no way to cancel them because they've got to do it themselves. The only other thing I've found that worked is like if y'all have a retirement brochure, if they do a retirement meeting or breakfast and it lists the people from the school system, you can copy that and send it in to Milo and to Virginia. And what I do is go through and mark the people who are NCAE members. And then I'll make sure they get them canceled that way. And they will take that because this comes from the school system. But you probably don't always have the opportunity to do that kind of thing. And Tara said, I think I mentioned this, but she's reiterating that Milo is the one who does payroll deduction. So that's good to know. And she said, don't leave the voicemail with a social. Just make sure you talk to the person themselves. But hardly ever do we have anybody who doesn't want to give us their whole information. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Just y'all been so quiet. Hopefully you figured all this out. Well, thank you for joining us, and I hope you join some of these other leadership sessions. They're very helpful, and we're glad you could join us, and let us know when you get some new members, okay? Thanks.
Thank you, Colleen.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and